This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out and succeed online, but more on them later. Okay, I know, on the outside looking in, this is the most basic, kind of played out, overdone video. Does the world really need another Rolex Submariner listicle? But the hope is this video can offer something that's a little bit different. These are going to be some of the best dive watches money can buy, Rolex alternatives I genuinely recommend to people, and hopefully a few watches you haven't seen on a list like this before. There will be no Tudor Blancpain, no Omega Seamaster Diver 300, although they are great. There are so many other alternatives that need to be talked about more. We're going to have a wide range of price points, starting at $1,000 USD, all the way up to $15,000 USD. That's a lot of guacamole. And I know $1,000 is a really high starting place. There are great watches available for under that price. But for me, I'm going to treat this like one of my friends was asking me for a Rolex Submariner alternative. And I think that would be the starting place I would give a lot of people for a good quality dive watch that would genuinely be an alternative to the Submariner. If you can think of some amazing sub $1,000 Submariner alternatives, stick them in the comments down below. It's really not my wheelhouse as much, so I will defer to the amazing commenters. And let's get into it. Now, this is a watch that needs to be a part of dive watch conversations more than it is the Zodiac Seawolf. The Seawolf was one of the first built-for-purpose divers, alongside the Blancpain 50 Fathoms and the Rolex Submariner. These were first introduced in 1957-1958, and the design has largely stayed the same. Very mid-century dive watch aesthetics, with a very legible dial layout, unidirectional bezel, and oyster-style or Jubilee-style bracelet options. For something a bit funkier, there's the Super Seawolf Compression Diver, which has bolder colors, but that same functionality and dive watch capabilities. The modern variations retail between $1,200 USD and $1,800, depending on what model you're interested in. But this is a great starting place for a great dive watch, great heritage, and a great price. Next watch, the Oris Aquas, and this might be one of the best alternatives to the Rolex Submariner. Aesthetically, it is quite similar with the ceramic, unidirectional bezel, crown guards, and 3-link bracelet, but there are some big, noticeable differences as well, with the hands, date placement at 6 o'clock rather than 3 o'clock, and the Aquas features a lot more polishing on the case and bracelet. The Aquas has a lot more sizes than the Submariner, available in 36.5mm, 41.5mm, and 43.5mm. So you will be able to find one that suits you, no matter your wrist size, at a far more attainable price. If you follow the channel, you know I'm on a bit of an IWC kick. So I recently bought myself a neo-vintage Aquatimer 2000 Super Compressor. I freaking love it. It's so cool. It's actually what I'm wearing right now. But even though I like it so much, I wouldn't recommend this as a Submariner alternative. I would recommend this instead, the Aquatimer GST. So this is a neo-vintage Aquatimer, and it's one of my favorite eras of this specific model. So in 1998, IWC reinstated the traditional Aquatimer name with this watch and the sporty GST collection. You can find these on the secondary market between £2,000 and £4,000 depending on condition, which I know is quite the step up price-wise than what we've been talking about so far. But these are cool little pieces of IWC history, fantastic specifications, 2,000 meters of water resistance. To me, this is a no-brainer. Okay, let's keep going with some neo-vintage goodness and look at Glashutte. Now, JLC isn't a brand that I associate with dive watches as much, but their divers can compete with the best of them, and channels like mine should talk about them more. There is a very specific watch I have in mind, the reference 162837, released in 2010 and limited to 1,500 pieces. These have a 42mm case diameter, so it's pretty large. Larger than I typically like, but there's something about these that just does it for me. It's super legible, thick lume-filled hands and indices, and pretty freaking different than anything else out there. Once again, this is a bit more expensive than the first watches on here, costing about $5,000 to $6,000 USD, but completely worth it in my humble opinion, especially if you have a larger wrist. Now, if I wanted to, if I felt so inclined to make an entire website devoted to Rolex Submariner Alternatives, I would do that through Squarespace, who also just happened to be today's fabulous video sponsor. That would be a very niche website, but also this is a very niche channel. As you guys know, I have been using Squarespace for years now, since before they were a channel sponsor. They make it so easy to create a beautiful website to engage with your audience, sell things, or just advertise how to find you with a business one-pager. They have hundreds of award-winning templates that will fit your style and taste for whatever you're doing. The way Squarespace operates just really works for me and the way my brain works. I can't create a website or a design out of nothing, and that's why their layouts work so well for me. They give you the building blocks, then you can edit your website to make it a reflection of you. Squarespace has this thing called Design Intelligence, which combines their industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to help you build your perfect website tailored to your unique needs. And they have so many ways to get you paid, with invoicing options, the ability to sell content, and Squarespace Payments manages your payments all in one place, giving your customers the most popular ways to pay, like direct debit, Klarna, Apple Pay, Afterpay in the US and Canada, and ClearPay in the UK. Head to squarespace.com/BritPierce for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, use my code, the BritPierce code, to save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace is awesome, go check them out, and thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Moving on, and coming back to modern watches, we need to talk about the TAG Heuer Aqua Racer. If you watch my channel regularly, you know I have a soft spot for the Aqua Racer. Every time, literally every time I pass a TAG boutique, I try on the Aqua Racer 200 Solar Quartz. These are awesome. The dark, grade 2 titanium and ice blue dial and turquoise seconds hand. This is one of the rare times I prefer a quartz model over a mechanical, so these retail just over $3,000 USD at $3,250, but if your constitution just cannot allow quartz, the Aqua Racer Professional 300 date retails for $4,200 USD. Big fan of these, and always excited to see a Taggy H out in the wild. Next, of course, Breitling has to be on this list, and the Breitling Super Ocean is fantastic. A couple of years ago, the Super Ocean line received a total overhaul, so they went from looking like this to looking like this. And it was a lot to take in. It's pretty divisive, there's many people who don't like this, but I quite like the new design. Available in 36mm, 42mm, 44mm, and 46mm. All four sizes have 300 meters of water resistance. One thing I would say is these actually wear smaller than how they initially sound. I was very surprised that the 42mm looked alright on me. Now, if you prefer the look of the older, discontinued Super Ocean, you sadly won't be able to find it in a modern catalog, but this is why the internet is awesome. They are super easy to find on Chrono24 or wherever you go looking for your secondary watch needs. Moving on, next brand, Christopher Ward, and I specifically want to highlight the C60 Trident Lumiere. I had one of these in to review a while back, absolutely loved it, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, price-wise, these are just under £2,000, which is pretty expensive in the Christopher Ward catalog, but it does have some premium features, which are reflected in that higher price. So these have a 41mm case diameter, grade 2 titanium case and bracelet, 300 meters of water resistance, the COSC certified Sellita SW300-1 movement, helium escape valve, and lots of lume. Once again, the Rolex Submariner retails for £8,100. This retails for £2,000. And I don't think you're getting 4 times the watch with the Rolex. So no dive watch listicle is complete without talking about Blancpain and the 50 Fathoms. This is really the heritage of commercially available dive watches, and in my humble opinion, this is the icon of Blancpain. So if you have a Rolex Submariner kind of budget, and you want a watch with that same heritage and provenance, this is the one. My personal recommendation is the 50 Fathoms Automatique 42mm. It has that classic dive watch look, titanium case, and one of the few times I actually like a 4:30 date window. My only complaint with the 50 Fathoms is the price. It's crazy. It's way too high. I think £15,500 is a bit of a reach. If I was looking into one of these, I'd certainly be going secondary or probably asking for a cheeky discount from the authorized dealer. So I said at the beginning of the video there would be no Tudor Black Bays on here, and there isn't going to be any Tudor Black Bays on here. If you want to hear me gush about Tudor, a majority of my videos are doing just that. It's getting embarrassing at this point. People are losing respect for me. But joke's on them. They should have never respected me in the first place. Also, quick little shameless plug for myself. If you are interested in buying a Black Bay, I have a whole video where I have the Black Bay 41, Black Bay 58, and the Black Bay 54 and compare all three of them. So if that is something you seriously want to see, I've got that video and so many other videos. But back on track, the best alternative to the Rolex Submariner in the Tudor catalog is also a Submariner. The vintage Tudor Submariner. So Tudor was founded to make Rolex models more attainable for the average person, and they used Rolex cases, bracelets, and crowns, but more affordable movements to achieve this. Now, if you are in the market to buy one of these, my only caution would be, do your research. Look into the advertisement to see what's been done on this, when was it last serviced, has the dial been replaced, etc. I'd really recommend going through a reputable dealer if you're looking for something like this. I'd personally recommend Subdial, just to make sure you're actually getting what you're paying for. Okay, second trick. I said we weren't going to be talking about the Diver 300, and we're not. We're going to talk about the Diver 200. You're so tricky, Brittany. Okay, so this is the Omega Seamaster 200 pre-bond. I wanted this list to have different options and cool options that I think should be talked about more. So this is a really weird reference produced by Omega from 1986, circa 1986 to 1994. And they kind of feel like the Seamaster from an alternate reality. 200 meters of water resistance, 3 o'clock date, no helium escape valve at 10 o'clock, which a lot of people will love, and a very different style of bracelet, almost agenda-esque bracelet. You can easily pick these up under £1,000 or $1,000 USD. They're so unique, and I'd love to see more people wearing these. You might have noticed by this point in the video, there's no real order to these. I am so sorry. You guys are really getting a look inside the madhouse. You're really getting a look inside of how my brain works. But we cannot go any further. We cannot proceed past this point until we talk about the Sinn U50. This looks like a tool. It is built like a tool. So this case is made of German submarine steel. Das Unterseeboot. Yeah? Yeah? The dial is so utilitarian and legible, water resistant up to 500 meters, crown at 4 o'clock. Although this doesn't feel like the perfect comparison to the Rolex Submariner, I couldn't not include this. If you are looking for a sporty, very utility feeling diver, you need to look into Sinn. We have finally made it, our final stop on the tour, and of course it has to be the Glashutte Original CQ. I had one of these in a couple of years ago to review, and I've not been able to stop thinking about it. Honestly, for me, I would choose this over the Submariner. Well, I chose Tudors over the Submariner as well, so... Quick side rant. I promise this will be quick, but I need to get this out of my system. I regularly receive comments like this. Everyone who buys a Tudor would actually like to have a Rolex, but doesn't have enough money to buy one. So, dear people, leave it at that and buy another watch that isn't a cheap copy of a Rolex. This gets my goats. This always gets my goats. I have been offered a Submariner several times now. I've gone to the AD, I've tried it on, I've been super close to buying one. But I'll look at it and I just think, I would still choose my Tudors. I prefer my Tudors over this. I really hate it when one person will try to speak for all people because of their unique preferences and try to say this is what everyone's preferences are, because they're not. Everyone is so unique and different. Everyone likes such different things. I, in some circumstances, like Rolexes more than Tudors, and I, in some circumstances, prefer Tudors over Rolexes. And then, even beyond that, who cares? Who cares? If you're comfortable and secure in yourself, you'd never have to belittle people for not being able to afford a Rolex in the first place and being happy with their Tudors. Just let people like what they like. Just let people live within their means. It has nothing to do with you. Anyways, I would choose this over a Submariner, personally, if I had that budget and I was looking for a diver. So this is available in 2 different sizes, 43mm and 39.5mm. I think the 39.5mm is the perfect size for most people. Really classical dive watch proportions, stainless steel case material, 200 meters of water resistance, and powered by the manufacturer caliber 3911 movement, giving 40 hours of power reserve. The dial is big and legible, the design language doesn't feel like anything else, and I've always had a soft spot for German engineering. Now, the price is worth talking about, retailing for £9,400 or about $10,000 USD, which is a lot. It's a bit more expensive than a Submariner, but I'd imagine it's one you can ask for a cheeky discount if you're going through an authorized dealer, or if you're going secondary, they tend to be between £7,000 and £8,000. Right, guys, I've been talking so long. Those are the Rolex Submariner Alternatives I would personally recommend to people. Hopefully there was something different in there. Hopefully this didn't feel like every other listicle, but maybe it did. But I tried to make it not, but maybe it did. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any glaring omissions. Thank you once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And now, Pope Tier patrons. Get their names on the screen.